1590 KVGB 95.5 FM is your home for all the news in central Kansas.
Sometimes it was very difficult when I was there to take my city hat off to make sure I was looking out for the best interest of Pico Devo, and it gets very difficult to maneuver those hats.
KVGB News is brought to you by Mayo Money Management, the Marmy Auto Group, Nicholson, Ricky, and Brian Funeral Homes, and by Great Bend Candy Quip. And for even more news, log on to greatbendpost.com.
At Ellenwood Hospital and Clinic, bringing state-of-the-art equipment and the latest technologies to your community. From routine checkups to advanced care, our dedicated team is here to keep you and your family healthy. We offer a full range of services, including ER, primary and acute care, swing bed, PT, OT, and speech therapy, lab, radiology, and more, all close to home. No need to travel far for high-quality care. Ellenwood Hospital and Clinic, new location, same hometown care.
Sports Day is brought to you by Barton Community College. Explore your future and get started now. Visit gobarton.com.
Okay, Sports Day in 3, 2, 1.
Kansas gets it into the corner, and they break the pressure to DeJuan Harris. Lob.
You know, they won in 2021, 22, 23, and last year they were probably a 1 or 2 seed and got upset by Southeast Slade. So, you know, if they win that game, they could be back-to-back champs.
It's an exciting time for them. It's our way of saying we appreciate what they put into this, and without those 6 seniors, our program wouldn't be where it's at right now. They've been very competitive, understand their roles, and work really hard on it.
I think the biggest thing that we wanted to do is come alongside MJ and help him find a more simple approach with his swing. He's a hypermobile mover, and there's times where he can't get that slack out of his swing. And for him to shorten some things up, timing was a big conversation.
Major League Baseball, between this and the pitch clock, will have fundamentally altered the game without taking a hammer to what baseball is supposed to be.
Here's how you stop it. Don't get in 3rd and short or 4th and short. Win on 1st down. Win on 2nd down. Don't let them get to 3rd and short or 4th and short. Just man up and figure out a way to win on 1st down.
For it, definitely for the playoffs. Yeah, I think 12's better than 4, and like the 1AA. My dad won the national championship at Western Kentucky in 2002. 16 teams.
Wofford, kick it, Johnson, no, Claxton, got it! Nick Claxton, the putback at the horn, the masked hero that Brooklyn needed.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to Sports Day on 1590 KVGB 95.5 FM. Talk of the town. Here we go. Tuesday. Sports Day show. Steve Webster with you in the Mayo Money Management Studios today. Landon Winkler, our executive producer for the program. Coming up, we will be talking Barton Cougar basketball. Cole Reif, fresh off his trip to Goodland on Saturday. Well, doesn't have to go anywhere tomorrow. He'll be at home as the Cougars close out their regular season homes campaign as they will be taking on Colby. So we'll talk some Cougar basketball coming up. Panther basketball color analyst Mike Marzoff, he'll be with me tonight at the Field House. I can't wait. Tuesday night, Heston Swathers in town. 2 very good basketball teams opposing Panther basketball teams tonight. As Heston will come in on the boys' side, they're 17-2. They're tied for 6th in the final KBCA coaches poll that came out last week, and they're coming off a 12-point win over Haven on Friday night. So we'll talk about the matchup tonight. It might peek ahead to that little matchup we've got coming up on Friday in Hayes against the Hayes High Indians. And, it's time to talk brackets now. Joe Lenardi, ESPN bracketology expert, will have an early look on how the brackets look heading down the home stretch of the college basketball season. Also tell you about the Tuesday sports headlines today. But we will begin, as always, with our sounds of the past 24 hours or so. That first sound you heard, ESPN2. Hunter Dickinson scoring the last of his 32 points on a lob that gave the Jayhawks a 69-62 lead on Colorado, and the Jayhawks went on to win the game 71-64. Dickinson, another ho-hum game, 32 points, 13 rebounds, 13 of 18 shots, made 6 of 10 free throws for KU, who earlier in the day fell out of the top 25 for the first time since February of 8th of 2021. KU lost 3 of 5 before they arrived in Boulder. It was the 12th double-double this season for Dickinson. KJ Adams had 15 for KU. Rylan Griffin ended up scoring 10. KU off until Saturday when they will host Texas Tech at Allen Fieldhouse. Texas Tech was in action last night, kind of a last gasp at first place Houston, and the Houston Cougars continue to roll. The 4th-ranked Cougs knocked off Texas Tech last night by the score of 69-61. So Houston clinched at least a share of the Big 12 regular season title. They're 16-1, and then let's see, Arizona 12-4, Texas Tech 12-5, Iowa State's 11-5, BYU 10-6, KU is 10-7. Then you have TCU, Baylor 8-8, K-State down tied with West Virginia, Utah, and West Virginia and Utah at 7-9. Action tonight in the league. Baylor is at Cincinnati. Iowa State at Oklahoma State. TCU plays at West Virginia. Kansas State back in action tomorrow. They will be at Central Florida. UCF. It is a 6 o'clock tip tomorrow, and you can see it, if you can, on ESPN+. K-State women in action last night at home. There was a battle between 2 top 25 teams, and the 14th-ranked K-State women lose last night, as Baylor, ranked 17th, came to Bramlage, left with a 79-62 win. Baylor's now won 9 straight games. All right, to the high school scene, Kyle Cree kind of talking about how the matchup with Heston came about. I haven't been able to find any time that the two teams have played in high school basketball. I'm sure there's something out there, but not at least since 2006. And, yeah, Heston's got a little pedigree coming in. Before they lost in the sub-state last year to Southeast of Saline in the sub-state championship game, they'd gone back-to-back-to-back. And in 2020, they were in the Final Four. They'd won their first-round game, but, of course, that was the 2020 state tournament where the final 2 days got scrubbed due to COVID. Yeah, big game tonight. Of course, we'll see if Ian Premer's able to play. That's going to be a game-time decision. Lady Panthers play first, and they'll have their hands full. Number 1 ranked team in 3A. Heston Swathers, 19-0 on the year, feature one of the state's best players in Kendall Brugan. We'll have the doubleheader broadcast for you starting at 5:45 on B1043 The Point. Okay, in the Western Athletic Conference tonight, Hayes has to go on the road. They'll be at Dodge City. Now, on the boys' side, Hayes High's 5-1, and if they win, that would put them, of course, 6-1 behind the 7-0 Panthers, and those two teams would close it out coming up on Friday night in Hayes. Great Bend could win the title outright. Hayes High could get a share of the crown. Panthers have clinched at least a tie for the Western Athletic Conference title. Garden City is at Liberal tonight. Kyle Haxton talking about senior night. That's what it is at the Activity Center tonight. The Cardinals will host Halstead, and 6 seniors playing their final home game tonight for the Cardinal boys. We'll have that doubleheader for you starting at 5:45, 100.7 Eagle Country. Houston boys start sub-state play Friday. They are the number 9 seed, and they will travel to Southwestern Heights. Lady Cardinals, a number 14 seed in the Scott City sub-state. They will play number 3 seed Holcomb on the road on Thursday night. Larned Indians also a senior night tonight as they host Smoky Valley at Larned Middle School. We'll have that doubleheader broadcast for you starting at 5:45 on Hits 106.9. Both teams on the road in their sub-state matchups. Larned girls play Thursday at Russell. Boys play Friday out at Holcomb. Sub-state action last night for 1A girls. Maxville defeating Kiowa County 57-46. Norwich over Kinsley 40-22. Pratt Skyline beat Pretty Prairie 49-44. La Crosse 53. St. Francis 12. Otis Bison has to travel all the way to Weston, and they made it worthwhile as the Lady Cougars picked up a 61-58 win over Weston. Pawnee Heights a 42-33 winner over Western Plains. Victoria beat Logan 56-41. More 1A sub-state action tonight. 1A D1 sub-state. Osborne is at La Crosse. St. John has to travel to Meade. Kinsley at Maxville. Fairfield is at Kiowa County. 1A D2 sub-state tonight. Otis Bison at home in Otis. They will host Central Christian, a battle between 8 and 9. Pawnee Heights is at Wallace County. Chase plays at Shiloh tonight, and Stafford boys, they play at Ingalls. Little spring training stuff for you. You heard Royals, the Kansas City Royals hitting coach, Alex Zumwalt, talking about MJ Melendez. Can he come back? Man, he looked good before he got to the Royals. What did he do? He hit 41 home runs between AA and AAA in 2021, and his debut came, well, plenty of hype, but he's flashed some star potential in the first 3 years, but 3 years have been pretty disappointing. They want him to turn it around. And if you see Melendez in spring training games, you'll see, yeah, he's changed a lot of different things. Zumwalt saying the biggest change is toning down his big leg kick and working on his position in the batter's box to create a more consistent approach. Hopefully MJ Melendez can help the Royals offensively. Kansas City still unbeaten in spring training baseball. They played the Oakland Athletics to a 1-1 tie. I guess it's the Sacramento Athletics. I guess they dumped the Oakland, so Sacramento, anyway, you know who I'm talking about, the Athletics. St. Louis won their spring training game yesterday, 7-4 over the New York Mets, and Colorado and San Francisco played to a 2-2 tie. Jeff Passan, he's in on ABS. That's the newest term in baseball. The ABS presented by T-Mobile. And they're using that in spring training this year for about 60% of the games. And he thinks it's going to be a great idea. It's going to kind of change not the way the game is played, because we saw that with the pitch clock, which was a great thing. I don't have any problem with this. It's going to be kind of weird at the end of the game if you want, like the Game 7 of the World Series, there's a strikeout. Well, wait a second. He's going to protest the call, and they've been getting this done here in less than 15 seconds, but still everybody's waiting around to see if the World Series is over. Jeff Passan from ESPN. Ian Fitzsimmons from ESPN. One NFL team proposing an end to the tush-push play that the Eagles have used successfully, and one team wants to ban it. I wouldn't have a problem with that. That's aiding the runner. At least it is in high school, not obviously in the NFL game where you have two guys come behind the quarterback and push him forward. But Ian Fitzsimmons says if you want to stop it, well, stop the team so they don't have 4th and 1 or 3rd and 1. Stop them on first down. Tush push, the modified quarterback sneak. Jim Harbaugh, so he was doing a press conference for the L.A. Chargers yesterday, and the question came up, what's he think about expanding the playoffs to 16? He said, oh, yeah, I'm all with that. And finally, a play-by-play call. Nick Claxton of the Brooklyn Nets, game-winning putback, the call on the Yes Network as the Nets win 105-103. So there you go, sounds of the past 24 hours or so. Coming up on Sports Day, we'll be talking with Cole Reif. I want to remind you that Sports Day is brought to you by Equity Bank, where they add value for their customers and communities. Equity Bank in Great Bend, Hoisington, and Larned. Be sure to see the Selections tab or the Locations tab at equitybank.com to check all the locations in the area. C&E Doors, your full-service garage door company. Follow the orange sign south of 10th and Harrison. And by the Cougar Booster Club, continuing their efforts to make the Barton Athletic Department the best in the country. It's Sports Day. It's Tuesday. Cole Reif coming up next on the radio.
Community bankers should actually know your community. Hi, I'm Sean Powson, president of your local Equity Bank. As someone who lives here, I know many of you, and I know what's important to you. I've been in the industry a long time, and I've helped many navigate through financial challenges and lead them to financial opportunities. I believe that people bank with people, so I'd like to invite you to stop by one of our region's 5 locations and meet our friendly, helpful staff. Let us show you our commitment to serving you and our communities. Because at Equity Bank, we're right here beside you. Member FDIC.
C&E Doors, this is Eddie.
Papa, what are you getting off for Valentine's Day?
Well, Hadley, February is the month of love, and nothing shows love like a new garage door.
You're not just saying that because you own the company, are you, Papa?
Well, Maybe a little, but honestly, a new garage door can really brighten up the home.
So, what are you getting me off for Valentine's Day?
You go, Hadley.
C&E Doors. Follow the orange sign south of 10th and Harrison, Great Bend.
Barton Community College's natural gas program gives you the skills and training you need to succeed. Current student Easton chose Barton to get him ready for the field.
I chose natural gas because I saw all the different type of hands-on work that they do. The technology is top-notch. Instructors are very knowledgeable of everything. Anybody interested in a career in natural gas, I really encourage them to come here to Barton. My name is Easton Juno, and I'm a Barton Cougar.
Learn more at naturalgas.bartonccc.edu.
It's all here at Great Bend Rec.
Sports, leisure, fitness, and wellness, even senior and adaptive needs, it's all here at Great Bend Rec. Pick up a program guide or stop by the rec office at 1214 Stone in Great Bend. Or check out the website, greatbendrec.com. Live, play, explore at the rec.
It's all here at Great Bend Rec. Live, play, explore at the rec.
He's the voice of Pleasanton High School football, the Barton County Cougars, and the king of the tweeter machine. It's Cole Reif on Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM.
All right, Cole Reif on Sports Day, brought to you by Great Bend Rec Commission, dedicated to improving our community and the lives of its individuals, and the American Plains Co-op Bulk Fuel Department, where they feature number 2 clear diesel, bulk fuel E10, fuel delivery, all your lubricants, and fuel supplies. Cole Reif, who accurately predicted the demise of the snow pile in front of Holy Family. That thing is going down fast. I thought it'd stick around a bit longer, but, when you get into 70s, dissolving fast. Nice prediction on the snow pile.
I guess I had the under because, I said, March 2nd.
Yeah.
So you said, March, late March.
Yeah.
So I lucked out there. But, yeah, everything is disappearing very, very quickly. So I'm a big fan.
Okay, to Goodland on Saturday, the Cougars come in. Who's this guy scored 35 points?
Khalid Sharp. Yeah, he's had a couple games where he's gone over 20. I think he had 2 games where he's gone over 20. The previous game against Spartan, I think he had 11 or 13 points, and he got hot. He was good in the first half. He had 11 or 13 in the first half. I think he had 13 points in the first half. And pretty good outing, and you think he maybe gets to 20. But then he came out in the second half, got a good look at a 3, hit it down, and then after that, there were definitely 2 heat check shots that you could for sure say, man, this is a heat check shot. Because one of them, he was an awkward sidestep, leaning in type 3-pointer, oh, no way, swish. And then the other one was Barton was maybe a little bit late getting at him, but had a hand in his face, swish. No doubt about it. So, he played really, really well. I thought, Fort Hays Tech played, extremely well throughout that game. And Barton scored 92 points.
Yeah.
A lot of, you said, hey, you're going to go into Goodland, you're going to put up 92. Okay, we're probably going to win that game. And but defensively, that's been one area, all year round that's been a little bit off. I think for this Cougar team, at times they've been really, really good. But at other times, they have allowed some big point productions, especially in the second half. So that was kind of another one of those. Gave up 63 points in the second half, and that that can be done. And but all the credit to Fort Hays Tech. They got a good team, and we talked about it, last week that they're playing well. And that's a scary team. I think they can move up to as high as 6. They're 8 right now, but I think they got a good chance to maybe even move up to that 6 spot. And that's just that's one of very many teams that are going to be kind of scary coming into somebody's home in that first round of the Region 6 or the quarterfinals.
Northwest Tech played Bethany JV last night. Bethany JV put 92 up too, but it was 101 to 92 or something like that.
Now, they've come a long ways. Now, there's a different coaching staff administration, but remember when they used to play the Goodland Ballers? They would have and sometimes they would play the Goodland Ballers twice. They have them on 2 times in the year. So they've come a long way.
Well, sitting pretty good right now. Coffeyville just got by Pratt on down at the Beaver Dome on 70-68. So the scores, I liked a lot of the bottom teams are still fighting hard. A lot of times this time of year, you see them just kind of drop off. And, this thing's we've done checked out. But Pratt nearly pulled that off. Cali, they've wrapped up the league as 76-69, solid road win at Garden City. Dodge City beat Colby 88-73. And how about that game between Butler and Hutchinson, 64-63? Hutch comes out on top. So the Cougars lost, but significance of the loss was there. Obviously you want to keep that record the way you had it, but
yeah, and I know it was fresh off the game. I mean, when Jeremy Combs came up and talked, and I kind of asked him one of those broad questions of where you go from here and whatnot, and he had mentioned obviously that's a huge hit to the at-large possibility. So the end goal, you want to go out and win the Region 6 tournament and leave no doubt, but at the same time, you always want to give yourself a little bit of that flexibility and put up one of those nice records that gives yourself a chance to get one of those 8 at-large bids. I mean, he made it sound like there wasn't as much of a chance. Now, I still think it's doable. And like I said, this is fresh off the game, but I think it's doable if you win out. I mean, this is saying a lot because Colby's playing well, kind of like Fort Hays Tech. They've won 7 of the last or 5 of the last 7 games. Independence already got Barton once, so you have to go to their place on Saturday. Then obviously Coffeyville's really good on the road next Wednesday night. So I mean, it's going to be a challenge, but I still think if you win out, and then that would mean a win against Coffeyville head-to-head, you get to sweep against the Red Ravens.
You're the defending national champion.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, at this point, I think there's only 3 teams that are in discussion for possible at-large bids. Cali for sure. Like, we know that they're in, and they should be one of the top seeds and get a bye in the opening round of the national tournament. So we know Cali's in, even if they don't win the Region 6. And then I think there's only 2 other teams that are left that are in discussion for a possible at-large. And I'm not saying they get them, I'm just saying they're in the discussion. That'd be Coffeyville and Barton. Butler losing to Hutchinson, I think they're out of the conversation now. I think both those 2 teams know that they have to go out and win the Region 6 tournaments. So I think there's only 3 teams left. And I think still, out of the respect of the Jayhawk, I still think 2 teams will get into the national tournament. So it really comes down to, Coffeyville or Barton. And here's the other scary thing. The women kind of ran into this a couple of years ago when, you thought it was a good thing when Dodge City women, they ended up losing the semifinals and you took on Coffeyville, a favorable matchup. But you knew that Dodge City was going to get an at-large bid. Yeah. So then it kind of like, okay, there's pressure. So, like, if you stub your toe and then Cali stubs her toe, then, that's a big problem in the Region 6 tournament. So you either need to go out and win that thing or make sure Cali goes out and wins that thing. So I think it's still possible to get there. Obviously, a more uphill battle. I mean, they fell to 16 in the poll this week. You look at Nick Nielsen, who is a JUCO junkie. I mean, he's a JUCO advocate, and he hosts the JUCO Jam show on the NJCAA network. And we were able to talk to him. He came on at halftime of our games last year at the national tournament in Hutch, and he has a point system. And what he puts into it, I know he's explained it before, but he has a really good evaluation that the NJCAA actually looks at. And based on that point system, he ranks the teams. And Barton's still in, I think, in the top 15 for sure. I think they're like at 11 or 12 according to his point system based on strength of schedule, number of Division I teams that you played and whatnot. So, I think there's a possibility. But, losing that one definitely took some of the luster off the final stretch. But you still got to stay strong.
Can't lose to Colby or Independence, though.
No, it gets tougher. It gets tougher. We've seen teams that have gotten in with 7 or 8 losses, sometimes 9, but it's a pretty good strength of schedule. So Barton's gonna have a chance, and these are not easy games. A couple of weeks ago, I definitely mentioned that I felt like Barton's schedule is still more favorable, but now you're kind of getting through some of that mess, and those teams survived pretty well. Like Coffeyville had that stretch where I think they lost 3 or 4. But they bounced back. Well, they've won 3 straight games, and like you mentioned, that win against Pratt. So, they're starting to recover nicely. And other teams are coming on strong. But, man, it's going to be a hungry-filled Region 6 tournament. I'm looking forward to it.
What are you looking for tonight? I mean, tomorrow. Yeah.
Colby's solid. I mean, they're just tough, physical guys. You talk about good defensive team. I always liked, Jared Stanford, he's a St. John guy, so, you're kind of rooting for him in the beginning, and you saw, like, that first year, I think I have it written down somewhere, but his first season, he had, like, 5 wins. His second year, he improved to 10 wins, and now you're sitting at 16 wins, so I always like to see that. Yeah. It's always fun, especially programs that haven't necessarily had as much success over the years. I always like to see the rise. Now, not at the penalty of Barton. Like, I want to see Barton win, but, like, it's always fun to, root for those guys and those types of programs. So he's having a great year, 16-12, brought back a few returners from last year, brought in a couple transfers. Really good freshman, one of the top scorers in the league. Iguaji is having a stellar season, and then Mervin guy, long, lengthy guy. He's playing really, really well in the second semester. So Colby's gonna be tough. I mean, that was a game where it was kind of a grinded out. Barton was able to kind of stretch it out in the final 4 or 5 minutes at their place earlier this year in January. But that'll be a tough game coming up Wednesday.
Barton women score 100 points.
That was a lot of points.
Yeah. So they pick up the win. What's their
big game Wednesday night for Barton women? You talk about, the men for the at-large, but women, like, this is a equally, maybe even bigger game as far as getting to host. If they can win this one, I feel pretty good, because I think Barton takes care of business at Independence on Saturday on the women's side. Coffeyville, either way that goes, but that's obviously a game that Barton had Coffeyville on the ropes at their place and lost in overtime, but. I think if they win against Colby, they're sitting pretty good. Because right now, there's still a half game up on the Trojans for that 8th spot. If they win this one, Colby has Fort Hays Tech coming up. So you imagine that they would get the win. So you got to imagine Colby's going to get to 10 wins. But Barton would have 10 wins. And if they can get that one against Indy, they would have 11 wins. So I feel pretty good. Garden City has been a tough team to figure out. They played a lot of the top teams really close. They could still make a push, but getting a win tomorrow night would be really big if you want to stay at home for that first round.
Talk about Vivian's career. I mean, she's, you get through 2 years, and now you get to the end of the year, and now she's starting to pass all these marks and things like that. Just kind of put her career in perspective a little bit.
I remember, like my perspective, I went out and watched games when I was a kid at Barton, but I honestly, I remember they were good, but I honestly couldn't remember individual players. I just wasn't that advanced. I was not paying attention enough to remember names. So just during my window here, 12 years with Barton, I remember watching Taylor Regan 5 or 6 years ago and thinking, goodness gracious, that's a really good rebounder. And then I remember Jenny Kim Whimsy more recently came in, and I said, that's the best rebounder I've ever seen. I'm not going to see anybody better than Jenny at rebounding. And then Vivian comes in, and her freshman year, she put up good numbers her freshman year, but, it was kind of that duo with her and Vera down low, so it kind of took away some of the shine for Vivian because she had, kind of a running mate on the low blocks. And now that she's been the key focus for Barton, on both sides, you've been really able to watch her grow and just what she's able to do. I think the biggest thing that stands out, obviously she's 6'2", but there's been girls as tall, if not taller than that, is her motor just doesn't stop. And it's just incredible. And she has the quickness for that size. You talk about second jump ability. And her ability, she just gets off the floor typically quicker than anybody else. So that's huge as well. And then I think Annie Kasongo, mentioned the fact that she just doesn't stop. She just continues to go. It doesn't matter if Barton's down by 20. It doesn't matter if they're up by 20. It doesn't matter if they're taking on a nationally ranked team. It doesn't matter who it is. Vivian doesn't back down from anybody. So that's what makes her, that's what you always hear about rebounding. You got to have some physical attributes, but mostly you have to go and want to rebound, especially at that level, and every night to do it. Because you'd be thinking, oh, yeah, maybe she had a monster 26 rebound performance, and then she had a game where she had 5 or 6. That's not the case. She just continues to get double-doubles no matter what. So, and the free throws are getting better. So, that's her point total. We've seen some higher point totals because I think the last 4 or 5 games, she's shooting pretty good right now. She's probably actually turned into Barton's best free throw shooter over these last 4 or 5 games. So, hopefully that can continue as well. But, no, she's a special player because not only is she leading the country in rebounding, but she's well above second place. Like, she's at over 16 rebounds per game. I think second best is like 13 in the country. So, let alone, like, she has like a 6 rebound lead in the conference. So, yeah, incredible player.
6 rebound lead?
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. Like, it's remarkable.
16 boards a game. Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, if she's not pushing 20, you kind of like, what's going on? Like, I know she has her averages. Yeah, exactly. So she's remarkable. And she's come on the post-game show a couple times this year, and I know she's all about winning. I mean, she really loves Barton. She had a chance to probably leave last year along with Vera, but just really, really loved Barton and what they did for her and giving her the opportunity. So she came back and. She wants to win. She wants to win games, so I don't think she's done yet. So she wants to make a push and maybe surprise some people.
What kind of offers is she going to get?
Good D1s. I mean, I don't know how high. I mean, she's got a number. She's got a list, and Coach Clark could tell you all the names on there. But Vera went to Arkansas. Like, I think Vivian's going to have that chance if she wants to go to a Power 5. It just kind of depends. Like, she's definitely one that's going to look for the right situation. I mean, Vera did a great job kind of scouting that out as well. I think Vivian's going to, find something that makes sense for her. But, yeah, she's going to have her pick of the litter, that's for sure.
Cole, appreciate it.
You bet.
Have fun on the call tomorrow. Cole Reif, voice of the Cougars. He'll have the call tomorrow night. Cole be in town to take on the Barton Cougars. 5:15 pregame on B1043 The Point. All right, Great Bend, Heston tonight. We'll talk about it with Mike Barzoff. That's coming up next.
From the Mail Money Management Studios, 1590 KVGB, Great Bend, and 95.5 FM K238CK, Hoisington.
Dr. Nels here, Animal Medical Center, and today we want to give a shout out to all the supporting cast at these basketball games. We have some great young men and young women on the court, but we also have some great young men and women playing their instruments, cheering, dancing, all those things. Let's clap for them. When they perform and get done, let's show them a round of applause, show them some love as well, because they deserve it. Dr. Nels here, Animal Medical Center, large or small, we take care of them all.
Extend the life of your equipment with the best warranty program and risk management tool in the agriculture industry. The Cenex Total Protection Plan covers new and used equipment. Receive up to 10 years or 10,000 hours of engine coverage when you use Cenex Ruby Fieldmaster Premium Diesel Fuel and synthetic lubricants. With no deductible, the Cenex Total Protection Plan provides unmatched coverage to give you the power you need to keep your business running like a well-oiled machine. Contact American Plains Co-op Fuel Department in Great Bend, your certified Cenex distributor, today.
Marmy Auto Group makes it happen. Central and Western Kansas. Check out our selection of new and pre-owned inventory. Marmy's friendly staff offers top quality service that you've gotten to know over the years. When your existing vehicle needs parts or service, our experienced team will get you back in the game this season. Marmy Chevrolet, GMC, Ford and Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep Ram, parts, service, and body shop. Visit Marmy Auto Group on 10th Street or marmys.net. Marmys, make it happen.
When it comes to car maintenance, it's good to know a local guy that can get things done. The Eller family has been in the auto repair business in Great Bend forever. Greg Eller continues that long tradition of helping people. Eller Automotive Repair specializes in wheel alignments, oil changes, and general maintenance for all makes and models of cars and small trucks. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4 Fridays. Eller Automotive Repair at 915 Morton, right behind Great Bend Appliance, Furniture, and Sleep Source, 10th and Morton.
Sports Day is presented by Barton Community College and the Cougar Athletic Department. Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM.
And Sports Day also brought to you by Freedom Claims Management. Innovative healthcare plans for your business. Let them take care of everything for you from start to finish, and continued support. They have you covered. And by Equity Bank. Here when you need them, bank local. Save big with in-person banking and business banking. Visit equitybank.com for more information. Heston, Great Bend tonight. Great Bend will try to get to the 500 mark against teams from the Central Kansas League. And the Heston Swathers are in town tonight. Oh, what a big week of high school basketball, Mike Marzoff, for the Great Bend Panthers.
Yeah, it should be a fun week. Now, that 500 mark is against teams that's ranked in the top 5, so there's a little addendum to that. But, yeah, it would really stink, and you said it before, to win the WAC and finish third in the Central Kansas League.
Okay. What are your impressions of Heston? It was an interesting game watching them play against Haven on Friday night, and the fact there was no shot clock really played into that game a lot, especially Heston, who milked a lot of time off that game. But I will say this about Heston. They made Haven get out of their 1-3-1 defense. So
that's hardly ever happens. Haven also lost to Pratt recently, so I don't know that Haven's playing quite to the level they were earlier in the year, but then you look through, Heston's lost 2 games this year to the number 1 team in 2A and the number 4 team in 3A. So obviously this is a very good Heston basketball team. They won, state in 21, 22, and 23. So Heston's used to winning. They will not be intimidated coming into Great Bend, I can tell you that. They play good teams year-round and have a lot of success. So Great Bend's going to have to buckle down and play good basketball.
And Heston, not a great three-point shooting team, although they used the three-pointer to hold off Haven, so you can get 2 teams that maybe that would be the knock against them, not good three-point shooting teams, except Great Bend's been fabulous here about the last 3 games in a row. So, and Haven used it, or Heston, I should say, used that to beat Haven on Friday night. So, 2 teams kind of mirror each other a little bit there.
Yeah, you look at some of the numbers where they didn't have, I think, going into the Haven game, they made more than 12 or 13 threes on that team, but they knocked down some key threes in some key situations in that Haven game and kind of changed the way Haven approached, you said, the way they approached their defense. Look at that. Now, Great Bend obviously will give them a lot different looks. The 1-3-1, we've said all along, has holes in it. If you move the ball well for the three-pointer, Great Bend will play a 3-2, they'll play a 2-3, they'll play a man. They will mix that defense up if Heston starts knocking down threes to change that. But, Heston has a really good basketball, a couple of really good basketball players. I don't know if they're going to really come in looking to shoot the three a lot. But Great Bend should be ready to defend that if they are.
And, of course, the million-dollar question is if number 14 plays tonight.
Yes.
I would have to say that's a game-time decision right now. How do you think Cooper looked?
Cooper looked good. Especially when he came down pulled up that free throw line and went straight up. That's what Cooper does so well. Elevated for that little jumper on the elbow there in the second half. That shot still sticks out of my mind. That looked like a very healthy Cooper Omot. You get elevation. He jumps about like you did in your prime, Steve. I mean, you can get up again. But no, the way you elevate on that shot and the way he just moves so gracefully, it was at that point I looked at that, yeah, Cooper's doing all right. Cooper's doing all right.
Yeah.
And that's Great Bend needs that right now going into the postseason.
Okay, so tonight it is, and I'm kind of, the girls' game, want to see Kendall Brugan play. I've heard a lot of great things, watched her a little bit against Haven. And I think in that game she did finally quit trying to pass it to teammates who were going to miss shots. And then just said, okay, well, we need to go ahead and pull away in this game. But highly skilled player. She's going to Southwest Missouri, not Southwest, the old school, Missouri State to play. So
yeah, she's having 22 a game. That was last year. She was a couple of different publications, small class, non-senior player of the year last year. First team All-State, so obviously one of the best players in 3A down. She does a lot of things. She leads the team in scoring and rebounding. She's a fantastic basketball player. And something like that's going to be hard to stop. Great Bend has a couple girls that can really play some good defense. But sometimes if you're skilled enough, that really doesn't matter. Offense can lead defense if you're skilled enough, and I think she's that skilled.
How about that? Your last 2 games, you get 19-0 Heston, and then you'll probably get 19-0 Hayes on Friday night.
Yeah, right now 38-0 combined, the 2 teams they're going to play this week. I don't think anybody else in the state's doing that. And Heston, they say, you say they're a 3A school or whatever, but this is a very, very good basketball team. This is a team that has wins over 6 different ranked teams. They beat the number 2 team in 3A by 18 points. They beat Heston by 18 points, and they're ranked number 2 in 3A. That's how good this Heston basketball team is.
But in some other games they were close. I'm not trying to.
I think I've got 5 games that have been inside 10 points this year. Great Bend boys probably similar. a low number of close games, but they only had 5 games inside 10 points. And you look at that, their closest game this year has been 7. That was a win over Buell, who's also ranked in 4A. So that's Heston has every starter back from last year. They got beat, I believe, in the state championship game by Silver Lake, and all 5 starters are back. And then they throw in this 6'1" freshman on top of all that. So this is very good Heston girls basketball team.
It's something, you get communities like that. Heston always has bigs. On the boys' team, on the girls' team. I mean, they got Reed Friesen this year that goes, he's 6'6". Then this Drew Bartell, 6'5". They always have tall players. I don't know what it is, but...
It's the water, man.
It's got to be the water. Okay. Anyway, that Hayes goes to Dodge City tonight and loses on the boys' side.
No.
Okay.
I thought Moody Garden had a shot last Friday. Coming off a win over Garden played well second half against Great Bend.
Yeah.
Then they go beat Dodge. I thought, well, maybe Garden's got a shot, and Hayes just obliterated them. So, no, I don't think there's a chance that Dodge upsets Hayes tonight.
I wouldn't want that anyway.
No, absolutely not.
No, I wanted to go in there Friday.
Yeah.
And
final game at Hayes High Field, Hayes High Gym. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, there are gyms with nostalgia, right?
Yep.
I'm sorry, Hayes isn't one of them. And I've done a lot of games in there, but it's just, okay, they've got a new gym coming up. It's not like closing down the Panther Field House or the Frog Dome or something like that, but it will be the final game. So
yeah, there's nothing unique about the Hayes High Gym. I mean, it's a cookie cutter gym, so to speak. But there's been a lot of big games in there. Hey, Great Bend and Hayes have had a lot of good battles there. That is probably the main aspect of it. Yeah, it's not like any of the old, even like TNP's gym or the old Nickerson gym or some of those old gyms. No, it's just a cookie cutter gym, but it's seen a lot of big basketball games.
And it will probably be full.
I would imagine it will.
Yeah, so get there.
These two teams love each other, so these two towns love each other. So probably a lot of love in the gym that night.
Okay. All right, Mike, we will see you at the Panther Field House tonight. Appreciate the time and looking forward. This will be fun. This is going to be fun tonight. Mike. All right, my color analyst, Mike Marzoff, joining us here on Sports Day. Coming up, Joe Lenardi talking bracketology here on the Tuesday edition of Sports Day.
Hey everyone, this is Cole Wright, voice of the Barton Cougars. Attending sporting events for Barton Community College is great, but did you know you can support the athletic teams even further by getting involved with the Cougar Booster Club? The Boosters help with fundraising for equipment and facility upgrades to give Barton athletes every opportunity to keep succeeding at the regional and national levels. Join the Cougar Booster Club as an individual or business. Call 620-792-9377. Become a booster today. Go Cougars.
Community bankers should actually know your community. Hi, I'm Sean Powson, president of your local equity bank. As someone who lives here, I know many of you, and I know what's important to you. I've been in the industry a long time, and I've helped many navigate through financial challenges and lead them to financial opportunities. I believe that people bank with people, so I'd like to invite you to stop by one of our region's 5 locations and meet our friendly, helpful staff. Let us show you our commitment to serving you and our communities. Because at Equity Bank, we're right here beside you. Member FDIC.
It's Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. Presented by Barton Community College and the Cougar Athletic Department.
And our show brought you in part by the Marmy Auto Group on 10th Street in Great Bend. Also by the Animal Medical Center in Great Bend. Large or small, they take care of them all. As promised, a little bracketology talk. Joe Lenardi last night on ESPN Game Night.
And look, we're going to talk some college basketball, and we're going to talk bracketology, right? And to do that, there's nobody else in the world better to do that with than Joe Lenardi, ESPN bracketology expert extraordinaire, as he joins us here on Game Night on ESPN Radio. We appreciate the time, Joe. How are you?
I'm doing great, guys. I just hope I can live up to that introduction.
Hey, you have, right? Like this is your bracket is out, and we'll start here. You've got as your number 1 seeds Auburn, Duke, Alabama, and Florida in that order in terms of 1 through 4. I want to kind of get your thoughts. Give us, for me, why Florida opposed to maybe Tennessee? I know the two teams split, but Tennessee won later, or more recently, I should say. Why Florida opposed to Tennessee?
Probably the win at Auburn is the separator there. Certainly Tennessee is very much in the mix for a 1 seed, particularly after their Saturday win on the road at Texas A&M. But, Florida has one extra big-time win that Tennessee does not.
Joe, when you look at the SEC, top to bottom, how hard is it to seed that conference?
I don't think the seeding is any harder than it would be for any other multi-bid conference, but where it really gets a little wonky is actually placing them into the bracket because there are rules that the committee, is supposed to follow about when teams can face each other in regular season rematches, particularly if they're from the same conference. And, if we end up with double-digit SEC teams in the field, and certainly we are, and it could go as high as 13 or 14, which is still almost inconceivable to me. But you get to the point where there's just no place to put them and not break their own rules. So we might see some things, or you might hear the committee people go on the air and say, well, we had to relax our principle for regular season rematches because of such and such. So that's really the issue, and that's kind of getting into into the weeds probably for the average fan.
Joe Lunardi, ESPN bracketology expert extraordinaire. He joins us here on Game Night on ESPN Radio with Andy Gresh. I'm Donald Ware with you. This Houston team, I'm intrigued by this Houston team because Houston has won 6 or 7 games in a row here. And, of course, you have them ranked as a number 2 seed and number 6. How close is Houston in terms of moving up in your seeds in your bracket?
Well, they're right there. You could throw a blanket over the last couple of 1 seeds, in this case Alabama and Florida, and the first 2 seeds, Tennessee and Houston. And if I had to, we spend most of our time saying, at this moment, here's how it would be, right? Bracketology essentially is a snapshot of any moment in time in a given season. But if I had to put my crystal ball out and take a look at 3 weeks from right now when we'll have a bracket in our hand, and that's a beautiful thing for a lot of reasons, one of which is I won't have to do any more brackets this year. And I get to be a fan again, which is my favorite part. But I think Houston is going to end up as a 1 seed for this reason. First of all, I'm not sure that they're going to stop winning, which is first and foremost in the Big 12. And more importantly, if you look at Alabama right now, they have 4 games left. Mississippi State, and then essentially 3 number 1 seeds, Florida, Tennessee, and Alabama, 2 of which are on the road. Maybe Alabama really is great, and they're very, very good, but I just can't imagine them going through that stretch unscathed, and I think that Houston is the most likely team to move up if anybody ahead of them stumbles.
Joe, I want to ask you about 2 blue bloods. Where do North Carolina and Indiana stand right now relative to making this tournament?
I still have them both out, even with Indiana's Sunday win over Purdue. I have North Carolina as the first team out, and that might even be a little generous. They had a couple nice wins this week over NC State and Virginia, which, sounds a lot better than it is due to the relative weakness this year of the ACC. Carolina's still 1-10 against Quad 1.
Oh.
And, that's a pretty hard thing to ignore. Because the cynic would say, well, what have they proven? And all they've really proven beyond a shadow of a doubt is the ability to lose to good teams. Right? I mean, a third of their season, they're losing to NCAA tournament teams, and their only win in that bunch was over UCLA by a point in Madison Square Garden back in December. So I think the case against Carolina is stronger than the case for Carolina. In Indiana's case, they lost 5 or 6 in a row there, late January into February, but in 2 of their last 3, they've beaten Michigan State and Purdue. 2 of the top 3 teams in the Big Ten. So I think that Indiana actually has a better path to the tournament than Carolina, other than the fact that in the last game of the regular season, Carolina hosts Duke. And that's one of those throw the records out the window games, right? We've seen the underdog in that series win countless times, regardless of the rankings or postseason status of the teams involved. And Carolina's going to go into that game at the Dean Dome knowing that if we win this game, we're going to be in the field. Because that's pretty much how I believe the committee would react with a game like that on that stage at that point of the calendar. So that's a long way of saying both of these teams are a coin flip, which means if you follow probability, one will make it and one will not.
The one and only Joe Lunardi, ESPN bracketology expert, joining us here on Game Night on ESPN Radio with Andy Gresh and Donald Ware. Marquette, in terms of Marquette being able to move up in terms of the top 4 seeds moving forward, what is it like? I realize when you look at Marquette, it's gotten tripped up a little bit the last couple of weeks, lost to Villanova, which is probably why you have Villanova now in the next 4 out. Where do you see ultimately Marquette landing?
Right now they're 6. They spent all winter really. They got as high as a 2 at one point, but were solidly a 3 or 4 most of the season. And whether they peaked too early, they're not the deepest team, so maybe they're wearing down a little bit, playing kind of a little bit of a frenetic style. I think they'll probably stay right around where they are. I do not think they'll get back on the top 4 lines. Because I think their chances of winning the Big East tournament, which is probably what it would take at this point, it sure doesn't look like anybody's beating St. John's at the Garden. Based not just on what we saw today, Sunday against UConn, but I mean, they've been a handful of late. Now that they've gotten their shooting decent enough to pair with, typically excellent Rick Pitino defense.
Joe, I want to ask you about a couple of Cinderellas. You got UC San Diego in the Big West, first year of eligibility up from D2. You got Drake. Speaking of D2, they bring in Ben McCollum from Northwest Missouri State. His transfers have made a big difference. And McNeese, off of the Will Wade mess, are 20-6, and they're running the Southland right now. Which of those Cinderellas will Joe Lunardi be walking into the ball with?
Probably Drake, because their style is different. And in the tournament, particularly in a short turnaround, if it comes to that historically has been an advantage for teams that play differently. Think about Syracuse's run with the matchup zone. Think about how successful John Chaney and Temple was for all those years, playing the matchup zone, going to 5 Elite Eights in 25 years. Think about St. Mary's or Princeton or Wisconsin, teams that are just different, particularly offensively. So, Drake is essentially the slowest team in America. And while that may not be what what the network executives want, it might be good when you're circling in your bracket. But UC San Diego is very talented, and you know they can certainly be the proverbial 12 that beats the 5 as well.
There you go, Joe Lunardi on ESPN's Game Night with a little bracketology talk for you here on a Tuesday. We'll take a break. We'll be back to wrap up the show right after this.
See any doors? This is Eddie.
Papa, what are you thinking about for Valentine's Day?
Well, Hadley, February is the month of love, and nothing shows love like a new garage door.
You're not just saying that because you own the company, are you, Papa?
Well, maybe a little, but honestly, a new garage door can really brighten up the home.
So, what are you getting me for Valentine's Day?
You go, Hadley.
C&E Doors. Follow the orange sign south of 10th and Harrison, Great Bend.
If you're needing a healthcare plan for your business, let the experienced and dedicated staff at Freedom Claims Management Incorporated customize a health insurance plan that fits your business's need. Regardless if you're a large corporation or a small business on Main Street, Freedom Claims Management Incorporated can help you provide your employees with great health coverage at an affordable cost. Visit freedomclaimsinc.com where you can schedule a free, no-obligation health assessment today. Freedom Claims Management Incorporated in Great Bend.
Step into the spotlight with Barton Community College's theater program. Whether you dream of performing on stage or creating magic behind the scenes, Barton offers hands-on training, expert guidance, and creative performance opportunities. With top-tier facilities and a supportive community, you'll develop the skills to shine. Turn your passion into a career and start your journey to the stage at Barton. Learn more at theater.bartoncccc.edu.
Now, in its second decade, it's Sports Day on 1590 KVGB at 95.5 FM. Presented by Barton Community College and the Cougar Athletic Department.
Indeed, also in part by Eller Automotive Repair. They're a hometown automotive repair shop. They specialize in wheel alignments, oil changes, general maintenance for all makes and models of cars and small trucks. Some other headlines for you on this Tuesday. University of Utah. Well, they axed their head coach, Craig Smith, a day after they lost at Central Florida. 76-72, that dropped the Utes to 15-12 this season. Smith was in his 4th season in charge of the program. He was 65-62. Auburn remained in the top AP top 25 team for the 7th straight week. And again, KU falling out of the men's basketball poll for the first time since 2021. 80 consecutive weeks for the Jayhawks. Tigers unanimous number 1, followed by Duke, Florida, Houston, Tennessee in the top 5. Ole Miss fell out along with the Jayhawks. They were replaced by St. Mary at number 23 and BYU at number 25. Texas moving up to number 1 in the AP women's basketball poll for the first time in 21 years after Notre Dame lost in overtime to NC State. Longhorns are the 3rd different school to hold the top spot in the past 3 weeks. UCLA, Notre Dame, USC, UConn rounding out the top 5. Florida State, Louisville re-entered the top 25, while Illinois and Georgia Tech fell out of the poll. Kansas State was ranked 14th, but again, K-State women losing yesterday or last night at home to Baylor, who is ranked number 17. Okay, high school basketball tonight. It's going to be good. Heston in town. Can't wait. 5:45 pregame on B104.3 The Point. Myself and Mike Marzoff. It's senior night at Hoisington tonight. Gene Manweiler, Mike Hesher will have the call as the Cardinals take on Halstead on 100.7 Eagle Country and on Hits 106.9. Gary Wagner, Buddy Tabler will have the call for Larned and Smoky Valley. Join us on the show tomorrow. We'll talk Great Bend Panther basketball. Girls coach Jade Winter. Voice the Tigers, Gerard Walbrock. We're going to have a whole bunch of Larned wrestlers in here tomorrow. 5 of them for the girls team who qualified for this weekend's state. That's on the Wednesday Sports Day show. Talk to you tomorrow.